Okay, so here we have two chromosomes, and we can see that this individual is heterozygous for the B allele, whether that's brown eyes, blue eyes, whatever. And then we see here's another pair of chromosomes, one from the mom, one from the dad, that carries the T allele. Now this would be what a cell looks like in G1. And so when these chromosomes go through S phase, they're going to duplicate. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention here, this person is a dihybrid. They're heterozygous for both of these traits. So when you see this in a genetics problem, this is really what you're looking at. Okay, so as this goes through S phase, these duplicate, and then as we go through meiosis, gametes will be formed. So then the homologous pairs separate, and then you have the sister chromatids separate, and now you have 4 daughter cells that are all haploid. Now what we see here, we have this gamete inherited dominant alleles for both, this gamete inherited recessive alleles for both. Now in real life you'd have crossing over, but for simplicity I didn't show it. Now the other option, you can see here now I have the red chromosomes on different sides. This is independent assortment. What we see is that the inheritance of the B allele does not influence the inheritance of the T allele. In this outcome, you can see dominant Bs end up and get inherited with recessive Ts, and recessive Bs get inherited with recessive Ts. But there's also this option, where we see once the homologous pairs separate, and then the sister chromatids separate, and you can see the outcome of the gametes are, you can see that there's other possibilities. The B's and how they're inherited are totally independent of the T's. You can have either options. You can have capital B's be inherited with capital T's, or capital B's inherited with lowercase t's. The inheritance of these two genes are not linked. They are independent of each other. And in reality, this is where we get this information to set up our dihybrid crosses. At the top of this Punnett square, we're looking at all the different possibilities that could be made from this diploid organism. And so that is where these combinations come from. Okay, so now though, what would happen if the T's were on the same chromosomes as the B's? Would they still be independent? Or would, when we make gametes, would the dominant alleles and then the recessive alleles stay together? So in this situation, these two traits being on the same chromosome are said to be linked. So you can see here, these two genes, A and B, are linked, whereas C being on a separate chromosome is not on the same one as A, so A and C are considered to be not linked genes. So when we look at traits, you can see how A and B are very close together, with C being far apart. Because C is so far from A and B, it's likely that crossing over is going to occur between these. Okay, so when we look at parental versus offspring, in our parents, we can see this parent is dominant for both, and the red parent is recessive for both. In their offspring, you're going to have some gametes that look like parent 1 and some gametes that look like parent 2. But because of the results of crossing over, you have some gametes that have both combinations. These are called recombinant offspring. Recombinant offspring are the results of crossing over where genes have been exchanged. They're the results of crossing over between linked genes. So A and C are linked, but crossing over occurs separating them. Okay, so again, here you have your homologous pair, and with crossing over, you have your parental gametes, but then you also have your recombinants. So again, recombinant chromosomes are made from crossing over and separate two traits that would normally be inherited on the same chromosome.